Okay, there we are, live on IG. Hello, guys. So I'm told that you are being told that I'm going live. Mudesola, how you doing? Good to see you. So we'll just give a couple more minutes for some more people to join Towels, Palace, and Essentials. I like the sound of that. How you doing? Jay Suleiman, welcome. All right, Ralph Farms, you're very welcome. Maksha Africa. You know, as it is custom, it would be good to know exactly where you're joining us from. So please, good to see you. Yeah, let us know where you're joining in from. The city and, of course, the city and the country where you're joining from. So joining from Lagos, Nigeria. Yes, thank you, Mudesola. Good to have you here again. Good afternoon from Zim. Zim is Zimbabwe. Oh my goodness. So Zim, I will be in Zimbabwe sometime this year for the very first time. Just so you know. So please reach out. I will be in Zimbabwe for the very first time. My father actually used to work in Harare. And I've still got some Zim dollars from when he used to work in Zimbabwe. Joining from Ekiti State in Nigeria, Ralph Farms, you're very welcome. All right. We also have Accra, Ghana, Kaduna State, Nigeria, Rondell Art from Ghana, Accra. Accra seems to be winning today. Abena is joining from Accra. Oh my goodness. Wow. Good day from Lagos. Lagos is also there, but Accra seems to be winning right now. Lusaka, Zambia is in the building. You're very welcome. Keep dropping your city and the country as we go on, and you're a very warm welcome to you guys. So for those who may not know or be joining this IG live for the very first time, or maybe, just maybe, you had never heard about the platform Under 40 CEOs before today. Under 40 CEOs is this platform that's dedicated to spotlighting and amplifying the voices of Africa's next generation of business leaders and, of course, change makers. But ultimately, what we do is empowering them to build businesses that scale. Now, we do this through an active community of engaged founders, entrepreneurs, business leaders, and executives who have access to a very powerful network of business leaders from across Africa and soon to be the rest of the world. And also we have a learning hub, the Under 40 CEOs Learning Hub, where members get to access business tools and learning materials specially curated to tackle the most common and not so common business challenges. Of course, non-members are also welcome to the Learning Hub, where you can, just for a token, you can take a course on our platform. We also hold special knowledge sharing events that not only disperse knowledge, but creates an atmosphere where collaborations and partnerships happen. Of course, we had one of such events last week, Friday, our members only event, the Fireside Chat with Olumide Shoyombo. And of course, I must say that a lot of partnerships, at least I'm aware of 5 potential partnerships from that meeting, right? Yes, we have a number of members also from within the community who have accessed grants and funding via programs, including, our pitch nights, where you get to meet top venture capital and private equity investors. I like to mention that at one of our most recent meetings, we successfully facilitated $100,000 in investment for one of our businesses. And this came from one of our platinum members, who is a VC himself. So this is Under 40 CEOs in a nutshell. And if you're just joining us for the very first time, I would like to say very special welcome. And if you've been here before, I would say welcome back. Of course, for those who joined our very last Fireside Chat, I did mention that the window for membership was still open. But by the 31st of May, it would be closing. And I would like to inform those who missed that window that unfortunately, That is it for 2025. But if you go to the link in our bio, you'll probably be able to find a link where you can join the wait list for the 2026 cohort. So welcome once again to our social live series where we host candid and insightful conversations with industry leaders and experts who are shaping the future of their fields. Now, their work, impact, and influence within their unique spaces stands out as a true inspiration to you, our audience of emerging entrepreneurs and professionals across the continent and beyond. Right, so please, as the session goes on, you may still drop the city you're joining us from. We have Lusaka, Zambia in the building. We have Zimbabwe in the building. We have Accra, Ghana, Lagos, Nigeria, Kaduna, Nigeria. And these live sessions are designed to provide authentic real-time engagement. So please prepare to engage, okay? I did see Stephen Akintayo somewhere. I saw him join at some point. Benin, Nigeria. You're very welcome. And thank you for joining us. The Joy Iru Makamina, Niger State. Right? So today, we're going to be having someone I consider an exceptional thought leader join us. He'll be engaging on the topic mindset shift for international relevance. Build a business that thrives locally and wins globally. I'm positive that many of us are excited about this session because in this community, we're all about building businesses that scale. Abuja, Nigeria, welcome. And I'm positive also that you'll be hearing from a man who has done it, is thriving locally, and he is winning globally. So please, Stephen Akintayo, please do join in. You may send a request to be in this video and I will add you right away. All right. So Abuja, Nigeria, good to hear from you. Now, as he prepares to come on, maybe I should send him an invite on this session. So as he comes on, let me just quickly introduce you to him, just in case you hadn't. Oh, he said he has sent already. So let me find him. Let me find you right there. That should be. Oh, there he is. Go live with Stephen Akintayo. All right. Exciting. So we'll just wait. I don't want to introduce him whilst is not visible to the rest of the room. So please, let's just. Okay, I'm going to just accept again. So I just accepted your invite. I think I accepted twice now. Okay. All right. So Dr. Stephen Akintayo is Africa's most influential investment coach. He says you are not able to join. Why is that? Why aren't you able to join? I just got that notification. So let me cancel this and re-invite you. So I just invited you again. I think it's coming up.
Hey.
Here he is. The man. The Dr. Stephen Akintayo. All right, so Dr. Stephen Akintayo is Africa's most influential investment coach and a global real estate mogul, crowned with the 2023 Forbes Award for his impact in business. From humble beginnings in Maiduguri, Nigeria, he built G-Text Holdings, a multi-billion naira conglomerate with footprints in the USA, the UK, Dubai, and Nigeria, boasting over 30 real estate estates and several subsidiaries. He is the visionary behind Stephen Akintayo Foundation and is committed to raising 1 million millionaires by 2050. And he's the founder of the Stephen Akintayo University, an online platform focused on wealth creation education. A serial entrepreneur, author of 45 books, a global speaker, and the host of the TV show Investment Chat in a Rolls Royce. Dr. Akintayo is redefining what it means to build African businesses that thrive globally. So please make him feel welcome. Welcome, Dr. Stephen Akintayo.
Hey, good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Amazing, amazing. I still remember many years ago when I first saw you on I believe it was Facebook, and it was all about real estate, and I think you were telling us to go buy some land someplace. Very humble beginnings. So please do share. I know, just give us a snapshot of how humble those beginnings really were and how you were able to navigate to the
First
point
of
where
all,
you are
thank you
now. Just a snapshot.
for having me. It's good to be here. I've seen a lot of what you guys do. When my team told me you guys wanted me to be part of this, I felt honored. I think the conversation you guys have sparked is very important. As I know that people are not used to young, successful entrepreneurs. We believe that people need to have gray hair, you know, or and it still haunts me till today. Sometimes when people get to, know how young I am, they get back into their, how did he make it so early? Maybe there must be something, and it creates room for a lot of fake news. What you're doing is to help building wealth at such an early age. So I must commend what you do and say keep doing the job. Well done, well done.
Thank you very much for that.
My early
Please go ahead.
days it started very, so this year makes it 10 years in real estate. We started a business and registered business 17 years ago, but I started business way longer than that. But we started as a digital marketing firm, and it was 10 years ago we then evolved into real estate. And I still remember, just like yesterday, our first estate was a waterlogged land in Ikorodu. I took my then tech, we're all building website, doing social media marketing. So I took them to this land. I still have that picture. All of them felt I was insane because here we were in charge of all presidential campaigns when it comes to email and SMS marketing. We're having clients like Chivita, PZ, Unilever, GT Bank. And so we're like, you could say a household name in digital marketing and email marketing, SMS marketing. So why will anybody in their right senses then change course and now say they want to do real estate, right? It just didn't make sense for my team. And if you even now say you want to do real estate, you start with a land full of water. It was so bad that we had to be pointing at trees, to say that's where our land starts from, because we didn't even have enough money to serve field to where our land begins. So we're standing in our competitors' fronts of his own estate that we're pointing to trees to say that's where our land will start from. We come and invest. Don't worry, very soon we will serve field. We'll be able to touch where the land starts from. So it was really, really insane. And then the land was as low as 750,000 naira per plot. Many were like, no. If I remember bringing one of my classmates to the site after inspection, I said, "Ma, will you, support me?" She looked at me and said, "Stephen, Omi Re now, Omi Re, Omi Re." Like, you can't tell me to buy water now. You can't just tell me to buy water. Let's just say today now, that same land goes for over 25 million per plot. Is now built. It now even has a fence. And so I can imagine how she would have felt. Because if she bought that land that time at 750,000 per plot, imagine multiply 750 times over 25 million today. So that's how humble we started. It was doing the impossible with the available. We didn't have resources. Even 10 years later, we're yet to take any loan for our real estate business in Nigeria. Of course, internationally, yes, we work with institutional investors and partners. But in Nigeria, we are still very conservative with our growth so that it's a sustainable model. We don't want situation you take a loan on a land, the bank, you default, then the bank takes over that. And everyone else who had invested, the bank wouldn't even consider those people. And we've seen similar scenario. So it was that humble when we started. It didn't make sense because it was like living where you were already a household name, to come into a new field. But as they say, the rest is history.
The rest is indeed history. And I like Shama's effect, I think that's his name, or Shama GH effect, where he says you're the only one that can see and interpret the vision. So basically, it's your job to see and then begin to interpret and communicate the vision. And this you've done excellently well. But you grew up in Maiduguri. And when we think of Maiduguri, I know what comes to mind, right? But today, you're receiving global recognition. What sort of internal shift had to happen for your reality to change so drastically?
Wow, powerful question. I love your questions. Now I see why a lot of great people are on your platform. So I yes, Maiduguri, but as a teenager, we moved to a place called Jeba. Jeba is a town in Kwara State, and I did my secondary school there. And by GSS2, I then changed school from a government secondary school to a Christian private school. Of course, I got to give my life to Christ. I then started reading books. The culture of reading books started. It started with, of course, books about hell, books about heaven, and I was waiting for rapture to happen so fast. But before I knew it, before I knew it, I was 5 years being a Christian, and rapture has not happened. So one of my cousins came to our house, and he was into business and was relatively doing better. And I was, of course, still frustrated. My mother will, each time I'm going to school, go and borrow money from her neighbor. They will look at her with disdain, talk to her, and are you the only one that have children? We too, we need money too. And I just hated that poverty. That I just hated it. And so when I saw my cousin and he said he started business, he's doing well, he then talked about, have you read the book? Read that Poor Dad. I know in those days, I don't know whether they still do it now. We used the pride is in, you read this book. You size yourself based on the books you read. Say, all right, have you read this? I have not. Have you read this? I have not. Okay, so one of those books was Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that was my introduction to more of self-help books. Because prior to that, it was 24-hour interview in hell. It was God's General. It was, things around heaven and hell. So for the first time now, I'm reading something about finance, something about being earthly relevant. And that shocked me about how my mother, prior to that time, because I kept asking, why are we poor? She said, I don't have a university degree, so my promotion is very slow. If you can go to school, if you can get a degree, you'll get a good job and you will take us out of poverty. But I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he said, education is not how I will become rich. So it was a bit confusing. Because my mom's saying, I need, a degree, I'll get a good job, and I'll be fine. So at some point, I just say, I'm going to take both advice. I will try and get a degree. At the same time, I will try and do business. And whichever one works, we see what works. And so, thank God, I then started business. My first business was 17, 18, thereabout. That's when I read the book. So the business also started that season. And reading, the first business was what we call GNLD, multi-level marketing, where you have food supplements. And I was such a very shy person. I remember the first customer I met trying to market my food supplement. Let's assume this was the food supplement. I held it like this, and my face was this way because I wasn't bold enough to look at her eyeball to eyeball. I was saying, man, this is synthetic. It's not synthetic. It's good drug. It will help you. You know, I was that shy. Okay, well, I wanted to come out of poverty, out of where I was, to Abuja, to my mom's colleagues. You know, she works in NEPA then, now PACN or GEMCOs or whatever they are. So literally everywhere she knows somebody, I'll go there, market to their colleagues and all of that. It was tough. I was young, I was a teenager, I was shy, and you know, some pitied me, patronized me, some didn't. But that was the first business. But I kept when I went to university at 18, even though I then did instead of 5 years, I continued the culture of running business. And that the rest, like they say, is history. But I think that's where the spark started, reading those books, yeah.
Wow. This is amazing. And I see that comment there on how, it can be difficult to actually build and create wealth if you don't believe in earthly relevance. That's such a powerful one right there. So, let's talk habits. Like, what are those habits that you would recommend that African entrepreneurs, founders, business executives, what are those habits that they need to stop thinking like consumers and start thinking like global creators? What are those habits?
I think the first one is to stop consuming gossip and rumor. Somebody says that great people, rich people, talk ideas. Poor people talk people. When I look at the energy people put into gossips, right, it's shocking, right? The energy is huge. I did a video recently that went viral where I was going from place to place and I was analyzing the type of followers that I have. The rumor mongers, the haters, the defenders, and there are a lot of different people like that. And I think the challenge we face, particularly as people of color, when we see somebody doing well, like somebody said, a rich man is lucky, says a lazy man. Rather than come from the point of view and say, why has under 40 CEO become a global brand? Why are people willing to come on that platform? Can I come and learn from the founder what he's done, how he's done it, right? Instead, I can sit somewhere and say, well, his father was the richest man in Nigeria. That's why, so, and then I'm just giving excuses, and then we go on. Today, I'm shocked when I hear stories about myself. Some say I'm fronting for Bishop Oyedepo. Some say Cosmos Maduka is giving me millions of dollars. Some others I even say it was money laundering. People just go on and on and on and on and on. But instead of coming to platforms like this and say, let's ask him, how did he start? What did he do? What are the processes? Can I pick up a lesson from it? Maybe I can replicate the same thing. So one of the habits we must stop is the habit of gossip and rumor mongering. We need to discuss ideas. We need to celebrate ideas. We need to begin to think of whatsoever is noble, whatsoever is of good report, whatsoever is right. Thinking positive. I've seen this over and over again. If I said to people, witchcraft is no longer in shrines. Witchcraft is now on social media. People literally are practicing witchcraft live on social media. Meanwhile, when you go to people who are not, developed countries. Elon Musk, he, on the other hand, is using the same social media, right, to invent, to talk about multiplanetary. I've never even heard of that word until I heard of it from Elon Musk. We want humans to be multiplanetary. I'm like, okay. So, right? Why can't we people of color start talking about ideas like that? Right? My brother, if you start that conversation, you see how people insult you. I say, well, I want to think of how, we Nigerians will go to mass. I say, we never talk Gary, they talk mass. My friend. I thought it's funny because I'm like, America isn't perfect. I live now here in the US. US have so many, there's huge unemployment in the US, high inflation, okay, high interest rates. Yet nobody is angry with Elon Musk for saying his vision is that we should all go to mass. Nobody thinks the guy is, nobody's complaining about the fact that people don't have jobs, yet the guy starts iRobots. He now wants to produce robots in math to even take the little jobs. Right? We need to change the way we think. As a man thinketh, so is he. The habits of gossips, the habit of pulling people down, we call it the crab mentality. When you put a crab in a bowl, one crab, in few minutes out. But you put 3 or 4 crab in a bowl, right? They will be there for life because as one, the other hold on to the leg, keep pulling the crab down. We practice that, and those habits needs to go. What you're doing are the kind of courage. Can we inspire ourselves? I have said this to politicians. Nigerians don't need your half-thought policies and ideas. Nigerians need hope. The day we get politicians at all levels, local government, state level, federal level, to start giving Nigerians hope, we Nigerians will solve our own problem. We have what it takes. Mentally, physically, right? We have what it takes. But we need to begin to spread hope. We need to begin to spread it is possible. It's possible.
Definitely.
And those are the habits, yeah.
And also, that's really the central message when we started on the 40 CEOs, showing young people and demonstrating to a community of young people that this is actually possible. But you going from that really shy kid, to that individual I saw on Facebook till today, I'm thinking, was there ever a moment that you doubted your ability to play on a global stage? And how did you push through that doubt?
Well, I will say yes. There were moments of discouragement. I'm not sure whether I would say it was a doubt whether I was going to play at global stage, but there were doubts about how possible, how soon, and I would say it's largely due to discouragement from people back home. I was still having this conversation with my PR my PR manager. She's my executive assistant, but she also handled my PR here. And she was telling me, she said, Dr. Stephen, we really need to change how we brand you now. I'm not sure we want to continue to brand you as a Nigerian. We want to brand you as Nigerian born, right? Because and she was saying to me, because she was raised here, she said, whether you like it or not, sometimes like your Nigerian heritage sometimes pulling you back. I went viral recently for my coaching program that was $20,000, and then my team posted on social media giving discount is $18,000. I see how, and at some point, I remember checking the comment section. Some of my clients who are not Nigerians were coming to say, I paid for Dr. Steve. I'm happy with him. You need to see how they descended on some of them. Oh, how much did he pay you to
Oh,
come and type this?
really?
Right? How much did he pay you to come and comment and say this? You know, and so, you know, she was just saying that we need to totally repackage it, because else where you're coming from is still going to be dragging you. You know, here in America, charging $20,000 for coaching is even one of the lowest. Even my Go, who is also an African American, mentorship is $250,000, and he's not even playing with you, right? For you to be in that category. I attend Grant Cardon's 3-day conferences, $25,000. But you see, because you're coming from Nigeria, anytime you post, the huge Nigerian followers feel that they are the only people that exist. Like, he's charging poor people $18,000. Poor people, we poor people. So I've faced that challenge all through my entrepreneurial career. And I think that is my biggest concern, is that, you know, you keep saying, hey, you're growing this brand as a global guy, right? When I get out of Nigeria, the way I'm celebrated, you know, my colleagues at Harvard, you need to see how they're like, he's famous. He's all over. You know, even when I buy properties here, some of them go research about me. They say, oh, he's in Dubai, he's in Nigeria, he's a big entrepreneur. When I go to Nigeria, I say, who is he? Is he like Dangote? Is Dangote charging for coaching? I'm like, why will you compare me with somebody that is old enough to be my father? Like, I don't even understand.
Oh my goodness!
So for me,
I
that has been the aspect to my journey that's been frustrating. Is that you see your Nigerian people keep dragging you back to. We know you when you were struggling, when you were in Songwater.
yeah.
Now you're trying to play like you are one global guy, my friend. But
So
hey,
dragging you back to a point where you start to maybe even doubt yourself, right? After escaping all of that, then you're like, okay, am I really who, you know, and then imposter syndrome starts to set in if you don't have a solid, you know, mind of yours. But really, I mean, so tell me, a lot of us, I mean, when I say us, I mean Africans generally, doing business are thinking more about, when we use the word thriving, right? We use the word surviving, not thriving, right? But, you know, when you're outside there, you start to think more like, how do I become one who is thriving at a certain, I mean, we engaged someone from in our community last week who is doing over $90 million in annual revenue, right? Wow. That is thriving, right? But so what's the difference mentally, you know, and how can that shift happen between you thinking, I just want to survive, to I can actually be in the league of those who are thriving?
I think exposure is the key, right? So exposure is one of my biggest. I don't joke with exposure. I would spend anything for exposure, because I realized that it was what literally moved me. Even when our business was just still a small business in Nigeria, I was no longer in Nigeria. My body was there. We were still in that small office, but mentally have left, right? So, and I think that would be my encouragement to as many entrepreneurs who will watch this. Your biggest investment should be exposure. You know, it's not the cars, it's not the house, it's not even the assets. It's not. I tell people, I say my biggest asset is my mind. It's not even property. Yes, we have huge assets in real estate and all of that, but people have no idea how much investment I make. I will pay anything, right, to shift my mind, because as a man thinketh so easy, you are what you think, right? It's all the game, the battle is won and lost at the realm of the mind. Period. So I don't care if today you don't have much in your bank account. I don't care if you only have 4 employees. As long as you see a global brand, you see a global business, don't worry. Even your enemies will conspire to get you to where you need to get to. In fact, their pushback will be the fuel you will keep using. It's just like the story of Joseph in the Bible. You know, you will see Joseph mentally, whether we like it or not, saw himself as the leader of his brothers. If you go read those stories, because if you don't see yourself as the head, you're not going to be marking them. There wasn't an official title, but mentally Joseph saw himself as the guy to go check and reporting to his dad and say, look, they missed this out. They didn't do this, because he saw himself as the leader. Why? He had a dream. And the dream mentally positioned him to be like, look, I'm not at this level. I'm physically here, but I'm the boss. Now, you will think that dream was, hey, and I see some people misinterpret some of these scriptures, right? You see somebody say, hey, don't tell people your dream. Joseph was locked up in the pit because he shared his dream. If he wasn't in the pit, will he be in slavery? If he wasn't in slavery, will he be in prison? If he wasn't in prison, will he eventually become the prime minister of Egypt? Everything was orchestrated to ultimately get him to where he needs to be. So this conversation about don't share your dream, don't tell people your dream, they will come after you. You don't understand. They are coming after you is what ultimately gets you there. The push helping your mind to keep what's the way. There was somebody that somebody walk up to and say, sir, can you pray for me? That I will not face problems. No, not that. Sorry, I missed the story. But I said, pray for me. And then the person started praying and said, all the problems I've ever faced, may you faced it. All this. And the person said, hold on, sir. Hold on. I didn't mean you should pray for me to get your problem. I want you to pray for me to get your blessing. The person, you don't understand. The problem is what brought the blessing. It was the challenges. It was the constant pushback. So my advice would be, win the battle in your mind. See your business as a global business mentally. I don't care how low it is right now. I don't care the challenges you're facing. You see it as a stepping stone. I'll give you a practical example. We had a very tough season in 2015, just after Buhari became president, right? As a company, it was tough. Entering 2016, we thought things were going to get better. Dollar was 190, moved to about 400. And in the course of my meditation, I said, I don't want to be here anymore, right? We're struggling to pay staff salary, we're struggling to pay rent. I don't want to be here anymore. And what was my solution? I needed to expand globally. I needed to be able to earn in dollars and not just in naira. Okay. And that led to us, expanding to Dubai and to the UK, to the US. But can you believe that it was the challenge our business was facing in Nigeria? You see, somebody else will look at that Buhari challenge and say, well, Nigeria, jaga, the country is messed up. Things will never work. Right? Somebody else is looking and say, hey, this is why we need to diversify, so that even if Nigeria economy is having some challenge, our international businesses can lift us up. So it's always about the mind. The battle is fought and won of your mind. So invest in exposing that mind, because you develop your mind through what you see, what you hear, what you read. So even if you can't afford traveling abroad, you can afford attending paid conferences, you can afford paid mentorship, Why not go on YouTube? Why not read books on nations or countries? Why not begin to, I mean, you can visit China without going to China physically right now. You literally can even know all the cities in China. You can visit UK. I say to people, one of the powerful tools I use is called Image Nation. And I learned this from Reverend Sam. Image Nation, imagination, right? So I have what I call my Image Nation. I can be here, I'm in our office here in Katy, but I can close my eyes and see myself in White House. I can see Donald Trump coming outside White House to welcome me, and of course it take me to the dinner at the White House, all the cabinet members standing up to welcome me in my mind. Everything I've said now in my mind. Okay. Now, the beautiful thing about imagination is it costs nothing. Everything I've said now costs me nothing. Is if it happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, fine. But it costs me nothing to imagine big. It costs me nothing to see myself in a whole different way than my current reality. And if a lot of us as young entrepreneurs can start doing that, oh boy, there's no limit.
All right. Amazing, amazing indeed. The blessing, the business, the opportunity is in the challenges. And talking about challenges, right? There's one challenge that I've encountered multiple times, having run businesses across countries, right? And it is in getting, the staff, the local staff, to operate with the same level of excellence and ambition as the global team, right? How do you ensure you're aligning the same level, Nigeria, Dubai, the US? How do you do it?
Well, this is one thing that I'm still working on. To be honest with you, and what I discovered is that the culture is different, right? And extremely different. And I think there's no one method fits all. For example, at the beginning when we moved to the US, I wanted to adopt a full-time model in Nigeria and in Dubai in the US, but it wasn't going to work because people here in the US just want per hour. Maybe I work for you for 3 days and I can do something else, right? And and so at some point we had to learn to pick each market and say what works for this market in terms of their culture, the type of people. I also realized, without being a stereotype, that you sometimes also need to mix things up. For example, certain cultures are big on hard work, right? So if you're dealing with an Indian, you're dealing with a Chinese, just expect that they're willing to come to work early, willing to stay at work later, okay? But you can then complement that with other cultures who may not be willing to do all that, but might be better in terms of creativity, okay? Might be better in terms of PR. The day you need somebody to address the press, to do media, to do social media or whatever, they may be better in that area. So sometimes you may need to just mix the team. We had to do this a lot in Dubai, where I realized that our Arab team members they love to work at night. It's like they wake up in the night. Okay. So, and we wanted that early resumption, 7 a.m. at work. It wasn't going to work for them, right? It wasn't. Because the real outing for most Arabs is by 10 p.m., 11 p.m. And I think it's also because of the desert nature. So sometimes in the daytime, there's so much sun. So they are able to then, enjoy more the nighttime. So again, the same thing. One had to understand the culture, they mix things up, and I just see where each person come to play. But it's still something that we're still working on. I
Yeah.
will be honest with you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nice, nice, nice. So, but I would say this. I mean, I've noticed something that a lot of young entrepreneurs, and this is having, sat on certain stages globally, and a lot of them look at global brands and feel intimidated, right? So, what's your advice, for standing tall as a peer, not as a fan?
Very good, very good one. Very good one. I think the answer is simple. And a lot of young people don't like it, but it's the answer. And the answer is bring value to the table.
Mm,
Bring value to the table.
mm,
You see, what is causing this imposter syndrome is because you're not bringing value to the table. That's the problem. So I give an example. I want under 40 CEO as a brand to mentor me, right? And the only thing I'm doing is to just enter the DM and just say, mentor me. My name is also, I'm 29-year-old. Please mentor me. Please mentor me. Please mentor me.
mm,
And then you just continue mentor me. Mentor. The question is, what value are you bringing in? Yeah, nobody doubts that this platform can mentor you, but
mm.
it's value for value. This world works based on value. And
Exactly.
value doesn't always have to be money. Sometimes it's to say, I'm willing to be an intern. Do you guys have an office? Can
Mm,
I be an intern under 40 CEO brand? I don't bother pay me. I'm willing to do this for 6 months. I want to learn. I want to connect with other successful CEOs, and I will work for free. That's an option. It doesn't guarantee that there's an opening. But if you continue with that mindset, I'm willing to bring something to the table,
mm,
right? Oh, I have this skill and I have proven that this skill is really good. Can I help you manage that? For example, one of the richest person in Africa, in the whole of Africa, my company manages a social media brand. Anything
wow.
he does on social media is handled by us. 1 naira we've not collected, talk less of $1. In fact,
Wow.
as early as last month, his team still reach out. Okay, can we even at least be paying one of the videographers? Or can we? I said, no, I'm just doing this. I'm not going to charge. This person also has opened his doors for mentorship. Okay, I am not paying for the mentorship. This is the way I can pay,
Mm,
right? Yes, I would have charged over. I mean, if I were to charge, I can't charge less than 200 million every year for managing that brand. Okay.
mm,
But I'm doing for free because I'm also getting access to that person. So that's
mm,
the mind. That's the only way to overcome that. I feel inferior. I'm just a fan.
mm,
Yeah. Yeah. Ivy, can call Ivy. So ultimately, that's the only way, because when you bring value to the table, you'll be bold, right? It's not a case like I'm just coming and begging, please help me now, please give me something, oh, please save me. Oh, but I'm saying, hey, here is also where I think I have some strength. Here is
mm,
some value I'm bringing to the table. And if you then say, I can do that, right? Then you want to say, I am willing to pay. I've always said this, two P's you cannot afford to have: poverty and pride.
mm,
And you can't be poor and proud at the same time. So you
mm,
must understand that in your humble days, you must bring humility to the table so that those who are
mm,
ahead of you will say, hey, he may not have much, but he's very humble. Very, very humble. I
mm,
remember a PA to one of my mentors was saying this to me. So we both were speakers at the event. We're both keynote speakers, but because he was my mentor, even when I was speaking on stage, I said, well, today I have two roles. I'm speaking as a keynote, but I'm also a protocol to my mentor who is also speaking here. And all through the event, I was very much protocol, even though I was also, I didn't know that it meant so much to him.
mm,
The next day, this my mentor called his daughter, called his PA, and started sermon. I said, you can see the level of humility Stevie has. He said, if he continues like that, there is no limit to its greater. It was the PA who was not later relating this to me. So that should be the attitude. But this generation of young people, right? We think that, because as much as they say, yeah, being fans, some think that boldness equals to being rude and arrogant. Okay? And not respecting and acknowledging that this person is ahead of me. And as much as I want us to play, I want some dignity in the relationship. It's not by faking equality. You can't fake equality. If somebody is ahead of you, they're ahead of you. There's no two ways around it, right? But we can build relationship on mutual respect that even though I'm a younger entrepreneur, even though I'm not as big as these people, I can be respected, I can be treated with dignity, but the solution to that is bring value to the table. I'll wrap up with this. Every of my mentors in business are way richer than I do, and they were way bigger than I do. But guess one of the things I do? When I host them to speak for me, I pay them. Okay? And they laugh. Because obviously what I'm even paying does not make sense. Okay? Right? But over time, they get to understand what the game is about. I'm saying I'm not taking it for granted, right? I'm not, the fact that you are willing to come on my platform, you are willing to share. I don't want it to look like I'm just extracting, I'm just taking. What I paid cannot cover what you've done. Okay? But it's just me saying thank you. It's just me saying I'm not taking it for granted. And I think those are the mindsets young people need to have. Because I've had people where some of my mentors where people start disturbing them, they want them to speak. And they will not tell those people, say, you know what, go and talk to Stephen. If I've had a mentor who now called me his manager, and I'm like, when did you become manager? When did the person reach out to me? I said, I'm not his manager. But I know what happened there. You wanted him to come and speak for you in Abuja. Do you see now? You did not even attempt to say, sir, can we pay your flight ticket? Will you be staying or you'll be leaving? Right? You just felt because he was a rich man. He should fly himself to Abuja. He should come and speak at your event. Right? Because he's a rich man. So some of them will just say, tell Stephen, Stephen is my manager. We'll tell you how. Because in their mind, even Stephen that can demand such does not treat me that way. Okay? So don't, and I think for some of them, it's not about the money. It's just, I just want to also be treated like I am adding value rather than just think you want to take what I know for free. Some will even reject it, so come with a gift. If somebody says, oh, did they come to my house? I want to give you 2-hour mentorship session. Don't go empty-handed. Buy it could be a book. It could be a bunch of apple. It could be a portrait. Go with something. The gift of a man, make room for him. That room is not talent. That gift in that scripture is not talent. It's physical gift. And if you can operate at that level, I promise you, even when you call some of them mentor, they will say, no, you are my friend. Right? Even when you say, you say, no, we are colleagues. They will be the one to say, we are sitting on the same table. Because of the level of humility, because of your approach, and that's my experience.
Wow, that is quite powerful, very powerful. Our time is far spent, but I need, if there's anyone who has questions for Dr. Stephen right now, please quickly drop it in the comment section, and I'm sure he would attend to it pretty quickly before he goes. I know people are looking for you. I get a sense they're looking for you. So tell me, what's one local strategy that failed internationally? And what did you learn from that failure?
I prize it. In fact, we're still discussing this at my Harvard program. one of our professors was sharing with us that he's had to ask a lot of these private equity firm owners who have been able to transform businesses to say, across all the businesses you bought and you turn around, what is the one common thing that you tweak when you bought that business that allowed you to turn it around? And according to one of our professors, pricing was the key thing, virtually all of them said. Okay. A lot of times, many of us are willing to pay. Do you need to add a little, intangible value? Yes. Maybe more intangible value? Yes. Because remember when this whole conversation about phones started in the days of Nokia, will anybody believe that people will pay $1,800 for a phone? Let's remember where we're coming from. Remember the days of Motorola, the day of Nokia. I remember when Apple came out, Apple was the most expensive. Today, Apple is now a consumer product, but with a premium brand and the premium feel. Okay, right? Exactly. Yeah, there are over 1 billion iPhones on per day, and that's already a consumer product. If you have 1 billion of it, 1 billion customer, you're already Bobo kind of business, right? But yet they give you that feel through, of course, the iOS. That, oh, I can download the best apps. But how much is it costing them to maintain iOS? It's just a marketplace they created. How much does it cost them to maintain Apple, even the iWatch, Apple movies, a few other intangible benefits that's just been thrown here and there. So I will say that when you have this mindset of, I must be the cheapest to really create value, I must be the cheapest to dominate the market, I must be the cheapest, to have a successful business. I think, particularly when you then move into another country and you have that mindset, it is the biggest reason for failure. For example, I never believed in my lifetime too. So I understand those who were really complaining that my premium coaching program for entrepreneurs was too expensive. When I started, I never believed anybody would pay me $25,000 for a yearly mentorship. I used to beg people to mentor them. I mean, those who know what I'm talking about. I will literally be calling you on phone. We are called for mentorship session. I literally used to beg people to come for my mentorship session. But when I then started having international exposure, I realized that the way I price in Nigeria, if I price like that in US or UK, I mean, my business is dead. So I need to price a lot higher. And I think that's some of the challenges. People want to enter a new market and they want to, you cannot beat people who have been in the market for years on pricing. It's just look for another strategy, right, to enter that market, but not price.
Wow, that's a powerful model. That's really, really amazing. Now, very quickly, and I'll just give you two more questions, and then I will answer from the audience, and we'll attempt to close. So you're in the middle of this $200 million expansion in the US, right? What are those systems that are non-negotiable before playing on that level?
Is access to institutional investors. You can't do $200 million with your own private funds. You have to get institutional investors. One of the advantages that we already have 70% of that $200 million ready from institutional investors. So we just need to raise our own 30% of that money. And of course, those who know that it's been tough is one of the biggest, so it's my part that had to go through tough time, but not the institutional investors. So you need institutional investment because usually the challenge is we bootstrap our businesses. Most of us who are people of color, particularly back home in Nigeria, we're bootstrapping. As you sell, you spend. As you sell, you spend. You know, of course, there are a lot of these tech guys who are now doing fundraising and all that. But majority, if you look at most African businesses, they're bootstrapping these businesses. The founders are bootstrapping. They don't have any investor. Some are having struggle to even get bank loans, right? So once you want to scale, then institutional investors come to play, right? And this then leads to why you then must be intentional about building network with people at certain level. Because $200 million is small money for some people.
Of course.
Right? It sounds big for some other people. But back at home, once it becomes dollar, you change it to naira, everything busts.
And then you process it.
Everything busts. You know. But for some people, even when you say $200 million, they're laughing like, oh, that's small money. I remember one of the very shocking things. I just finished. I'm doing a, like an executive MBA with Harvard University, and it's called OPM, Owners President Management Program. We're 184 people from different countries of the world. Now, in my living room, we're 8 of us, so we kind of live together. We share living room together. We have each of us our just like your typical hostel. Each of us have our private rooms. And in my living room, among 8 of us, one of us sold his business for $1.5 billion. The other sold his business for $500 million. Like everybody there, when they were introducing themselves, what they are doing, I'm like, okay. This is the room you need to be in. This is where you need to be. Because once you go back, and we don't know that Nigeria has a way of shrinking our dreams. Because the little you've achieved, people make it look like you've done what nobody has done. And you must, and I say this to entrepreneurs, put yourself in the room where you become small. Because if you're not careful, you play this Nigerian game, everybody is entering your head. You know, even if you're in diaspora, you need to mix with other race outside of your race. Mix. Else, your vision will be shrinked, right? Because I guess what was funny, some of the guys who pitched their ideas, right there, they were having somebody say, oh, I'll give you $100,000. I'll give you $1 million. I'll give you. Some people were already raising $10 million in class from classmates. Right? If I remember saying to myself, I did not prepare well. If I know that this is, I would have come to raise money.
Brought several pitches to the room.
Exactly. So that will raise money. So if you're ready to play at that level, one, institutional investors. Number two is change your room. Enter a room where people can dash you $100,000 knowing that they can lose it. They are not bothered. You know, one of my room, living roommates, were asking him, he said, oh, I typically invest in businesses, you know, the average of how much? $100,000. So how many have you invested? So I've done like 30, you know, whether they work or not, I'm just spreading my seed. If you do this back at home, somebody will give you $5,000. Nothing must happen to that $5,000.
Oh my goodness. Man, we do have a lot of questions in the comment section. So let's attempt. Maybe you can attempt to give it a minute each. So this, what's the name again? Olubukola says, how do you avoid being used by people you look up to while being humble or offering value for free just to build relationships? So
beautiful question. Beautiful. Yeah. I think the reason why such exists is that you didn't know what you were looking for in the first place. You need to be sure that what the person will offer you, you can get it. So I'll give you an example. I've seen people do this with me as well. You acted like you wanted to learn, but what you were looking for was money. I don't know whether you have had
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't whether you have
All the
had this
time.
experience.
Yeah. All the
Exactly.
time.
So you came to me to say, Dr. Steven, I want to learn. It's an opportunity to learn under you. You know, I'll pick wisdom. Okay, no problem. Learning, you shall learn. Abi, only for it to begin to change. You know, I like, I'm not even, it's like, I'm not paid enough. Wait, if you, I mean, it gives feed to the sower and bread to the eater, right? So it depends. If you want bread, we'll give you bread. If you want seed, we'll give you seed. I think what happens many times, we go into this relationship and we're assuming, and let me pretend like I want to learn, but I know that I'm a rich man now. After a while, we just start dropping the money. I think these people did not become rich by fooling around. They are smarter than you think, and they are
Of
going to
course.
test your resolve. So come in, be sure what you are asking for is what they are willing to give you, and it's, set the expectation from day one. Don't play games. Go straight, sir. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm hoping to get, and I can assure you, you won't feel used.
All right. Thank you very much for this. Savage Kida says, I'm a programmer. How do I get a mentor in my field? And also, what do I look out for?
I mean, go message him and tell him you want to intern in any of his. He is one of the biggest tech guys we have. I think it's been behind 2 unicorns in Yaboyeji. Message someone like that and say, hey, I'm a good programmer. I don't know any of your work you're doing. I'm willing to code, for free in exchange to have some access to you. I want to learn how you've been able to, start these tech companies and, grow them and scale them. Again, just be transparent. The problem is sometimes we're not as transparent, from day one, so that the people also know what you're asking for. Can they provide it, right? So look for people. You don't need to have known them. Just shoot your shot. Follow them. Comment on their post. For a while. Sometimes you don't need to also day one. You follow. You start, because some of these people, even they don't manage their pages. I, for example, have 4 social media managers, but I check regularly, right? So there are people I just notice this person has been consistent in commenting on my page, right? So, and sometimes it may take 6 months before I notice the person. It may take 3 months before I sense the consistency. And such person requests may be prioritized than somebody I have not sensed that they've been engaging and they just start making requests. So these are little ways you can, but approach people. Social media is a leveler, right? Is a major leveler, particularly on LinkedIn, on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Because it can be sometimes, so some top entrepreneurs don't even want to play there because of it can be a bit too much of dragging and trollers there. But I think a lot more entrepreneurs are comfortable with LinkedIn and Instagram. So follow them, comment on their page, and at some point you see the opportunity, shoot your shot.
All right. Thank you very much. And of course, multi-millionaire, I believe, or he says is Millionaire Mufta. That's his name. Says, thanks, Dr. Steven. How do we manage where you do not align with a mentor? Maybe your option makes more sense to you. Sorry. How do you manage such a situation that the mentor does not feel? So I think it's talking about mentor alignment, So how, if the mentor is not aligned to you, I would say a millionaire move to then seek another mentor. That's straight up just seek out somebody else who is more aligned to your interests. So let me move on to Irefodosi. It says, good day, sir. Thanks a lot for this rare privilege. And yes, indeed, it is a rare privilege. Thank you, Dr. Akintayo. I wish to know how one can start a service-based business on a global scale. I wish to know the first step. Thanks. I think I'll leave that for you.
Service-based
Yeah.
businesses are very easy to scale. It's a service. Once you can leverage your technology, you have a mobile app. Now AI makes it a lot easier. It's easy for you, for example, to have a marketplace for hotels and scale it into 20 countries without even stepping foot into those countries, right? Because it's a service, right? So it's all about leveraging on technology. It's all about payment gateways. It's all about having right partners. I don't think those are complex things, right? Because I'll give you an example. Facebook was in Nigeria before they have an office in Nigeria. Google was in Nigeria before they have an office in Nigeria.
Exactly.
Twitter and all of them. Because it's a service base. So it's just the technology and trying to customize each of the experiences in those countries to kind of relate to the local market in those countries. I want to also add to the guy talking about mentor alignment. Mentors are not perfect. There's no perfect mentor. And that's why I advise that you should have mentors for specific aspect of life. I've had business mentors who are some of the worst relational people. I can't even take any of their one relationship advice because they've wrecked their marriage. But they are good with business. And I go to them to learn about business. I've met, relationship mentors or marital mentors who can help you with marriage, but they know jack about money, right? They are so bad with managing money. So I'm not going to go to them for money advice. So no perfect mentor. And if you're looking for this perfect mentor, is the problem. Because people come in with this mentality of human beings are perfect. There is no perfect human beings. Where I come from, there's an adage that says, Igi yoda oyono, ele yoda oyono, right? Igba wula to ma shionje jino. In other words, this you are trying to cook. You remove the sticks and you're using, wood. You remove this wood because the wood is not well shaped. And then you remove the next wood. When will you ever complete cooking? And many of us do that with relationship. This person is bad. That one is bad. Did you even hear what I read about this person? I realize that I want to warn you as many of us begin to work towards building good mentorship, particularly successful people. I realized that even some of my mentors that prior to getting close to them, all I've heard about them was the highest level of integrity. As I got closer to them, I started hearing stories, right? Hearing stories. So if I wasn't mature enough, then I will lose that relationship based on what a third party who is not able to add value to me, who cannot give me what that mentor will give me. But I'll be hearing what that person say. Be careful, oh, be careful. And we not. And so the guy talking about mentor alignment, sometimes what people start telling him, be careful about this so-called mentor. I notice you are with this person. Yes, I'm wrapping up. No problem. I'm wrapping up. I'm wrapping up. So there's a lot to do. So it's important to understand that a perfect mentor, make sure that you come in with respect, with honor. Here's the word, and I'll leave you guys with this word. Somebody says, if you are lucky to hold your mentor's hand, please don't smell his armpits. I leave you with that African proverb.
Wow. Wow, don't smell his outfit. Goodness gracious. All right. So I'll just ask one final question to wrap up. Right? And please, Dr. Stephen, I want to make a request, right?
Your video is up.
A very quick request. People still, we had a lot of questions from the community for you. We haven't even gone halfway, right? So would you please reply or respond to the questions if we drop them in the comment after this video is posted? We'll just make sure we tag you.
I'll try my best.
Really
just make me a collaborator as well. Make me a collaborator so that my fans can see it as well.
Okay, yes, beautiful. Definitely we will. So last and final question. If your entire business disappeared today, but your mindset, of course, unshaken. What's the first strategic move that you'd make to rise again globally?
I will organize a press conference and tell the whole world I lost my business, but I'm starting afresh. And this one I'm starting afresh is a banger. And you'll be foolish not to invest in the new one. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much for this. I mean,
and then I
it's
will
difficult.
also write.
Yes.
I will also write a book on how I lost and how I'm now going higher. That's it. Probably write a book about this one.
Yeah, I would probably tag that title that book from $500 million valuation to zero, or steps to take to lose it all. Thank you.
I will, because I'm not going to leave it at the lowest point. So I will put from 500 million valuation to zero, and now to 5 billion soon.
To 5 billion. How I did it.
Yeah. Yes.
And thank you so very much. A lot of nuggets dropped today, a lot of learnings from here. I mean, this is a masterclass in itself, and we know how busy you are. And so thank you so very much for joining us and agreeing to take this time out. We really do appreciate it. To everyone who's joined in, thank you for staying through to the very end. I know you don't want it to end. They don't want it to end, I can tell. They don't. So thank you to